Thank you for joining us for the City of Alpharetta's July 21st, 2022 Historic Preservation Meeting. At this time, it is now 3:06, and I call this meeting to order. Just want to say it's good to finally meet everybody in person after a year of us not meeting, so welcome back. Thank you.
May I say that you have been such a help.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And your dedication.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we get to finally have a meeting together, so thank you for that. First item on the agenda is roll call. All members except for Commissioners Grizzle, Burgess, and Myers, right? Myers? Okay, are here for today's meeting. And we're first going to start by having you all sworn in. So what I'll do is I have a copy for you guys to read, to repeat after me, and I'll just come up to each one of your chairs and we'll do it together. Just make sure your microphone is on so the record gets it, okay? All right, so give me 1 second and I'll come up. Raise your right hand. I, Shaq Lewis,
I, Shaq Lewis,
hereby accept the honor
hereby accept the honor
of serving as a member
of serving as a member
of the Historic Preservation Committee
of the Historic Preservation Committee
of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia,
of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia,
and in
so doing,
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I shall faithfully perform
that I shall faithfully perform
the duties of board member,
the duties of board member,
that I will regularly attend meetings
that I will regularly attend meetings
and uphold the ideals of the community and service,
and uphold the ideals of the community and service,
that I will act and conduct business
that I will act and conduct business
in accordance with
in accordance with
the city's code of ethics and conduct,
the city's code of ethics and conduct,
and that I shall support the charter
and that I shall support the charter
and the laws of the City of Alpharetta,
and the laws of the City of Alpharetta,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Georgia,
of the State of Georgia,
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America.
of the United States of America.
So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
Oh, well.
So sworn this 21st day of July 2022.
Okay, and then if you will sign raise your right hand. I, Joy Ross,
I, Joy Ross,
hereby accept the honor
hereby accept the honor
of serving as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee
of serving as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee
of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia,
of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia,
and in so doing,
and in so doing,
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I shall faithfully perform the duties
that I shall faithfully perform the duties
of board member,
of board member,
that I will regularly attend meetings
that I will regularly attend meetings
and uphold the ideals of community and service,
and uphold the ideals of the community and service,
that I will act and conduct business
that I will act and conduct business
in accordance with
in accordance with
the city's code of ethics and conduct,
the city's code of ethics and conduct,
and that I shall support the charter
and that I shall support the charter
and laws of the City of Alpharetta,
and the laws of the City of Alpharetta,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia,
and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
Sign that
Sign this one?
one. This one right here.
Oh, okay.
Bonnie Stedman,
I, Bonnie Stedman,
hereby accept the honor
hereby accept the honor
of serving as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee
of serving as a member of the Historic Preservation Committee
of the City of Alpharetta,
of the City of Alpharetta, Georgia,
and in so doing,
and in so doing,
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I shall faithfully perform the duties
that I shall faithfully perform the duties
of board member,
of board member,
that I will regularly attend meetings
that I will regularly attend meetings
and uphold the ideals
and uphold the ideals
of the community and service,
of the community and service,
that I will act and conduct business
that I will act and conduct business
in accordance with the city's Code of Ethics and Conduct,
in accordance with the city's Code of Ethics and Conduct,
and that I shall support the charter and laws
and I shall support the charter and laws
of the City of Alpharetta,
of the City of Alpharetta,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia,
and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
Do I repeat that?
Yes.
Okay. So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
Perfect. You can sign that one. You'll raise your right hand. I, Connie Mashburn,
I, Connie Mashburn,
hereby accept the honor
hereby accept the honor
of serving as a member
as serving as a member
of the Historic Preservation Committee
of the Historic Preservation Commission
of the City of Alpharetta,
of the City of Alpharetta,
and in so doing,
and in so doing,
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I shall faithfully perform
that I shall faithfully perform
the duties of board member,
the duties of board member,
that I will regularly attend meetings
that I will regularly attend meetings
and uphold the ideals of the community and service,
and uphold the community ideals of service,
that I will act and conduct business
that I will actively conduct business
in accordance with
in accordance with
the city's Code of Ethics and Conduct,
the city's Code of Ethics and Conduct,
and that I shall support the charter
and I shall support the charter
and laws of the City of Alpharetta,
and laws of the City of Alpharetta,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Georgia,
and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
and the Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
So sworn this 21st day of July, 2022.
Here.
Okay.
Right here. Congratulations.
You too.
Congratulations, Joy and Shaq.
Thank you. Same to you. Back at you.
And at this time, we will now hold the election of chair and vice chair. May I have a nomination for chair of the commission?
I nominate Bonnie Stedman as chair.
Can I get a second? Okay. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand.
Oh, thank you.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes, so you are now chairwoman. And then can I please have a nomination for vice chair?
Joy?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion passes. You are now vice chairwoman.
Thank you.
And Ms. Stedman, you can now resume the meeting.
Got thrown under the
Oh,
bus.
okay. I don't know if you've had a chance to read the minutes for July 14th, 2021, or is this the first time you're seeing it?
No,
Okay, all right. We need to vote on that and accept those into the record. So all in favor of accepting this without any changes, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. They have been accepted. Items from staff. You don't have anything? Okay.
Michael's presenting 133.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We do have two informational items for you this afternoon. One item had been previously approved by City Council, and the other item is coming forward to City Council for a public hearing request. The first one that I wanted to present to you this afternoon is 133 Cumming Street. This is the Gardner House at the corner of Cumming Street and Cricket Lane. I have the applicant's site plan that's been submitted to us. So we received an application for variance request on this property. The variance requests that we've received are to allow for a stream to be piped on the property. They're also asking for a front setback reduction from 35 feet to 10 feet, and they are asking for a rear setback reduction on Lot 1, which is the property that is the lot that will have has the historic home on it. They're asking for a rear setback reduction on that property from 25 feet to 15 feet. So this isn't a rezoning or anything like that. They're proposing to save the house and to preserve the existing historic home. And they have some proposed renovations to that home. The reason why we're bringing this forward to the Historic Preservation Commission this afternoon is because if this were to be approved, there's a good chance that this would be coming forward to the Historic Preservation Commission for designation, as well as for a certificate of appropriateness. And let me just show you what they have proposed. So again, they're proposing this property currently. This is Cumming Street and Cricket Lane, or some people refer to this as the extension of Haynes Bridge. Currently, you have the historic Gardner House on the property, which is represented in this dark footprint here. The applicant is, as I mentioned, proposing to subdivide this property. It's about 1.8 acres. They want to subdivide it into 3 lots. So the applicant has stated that he needs to put 2 additional homes on this property in order to be able to finance saving the historic structure and any improvements or upgrades that they'll need to make to that historic structure. As I mentioned, there's a stream on this property. The stream is approximately in this location, and they are asking to pipe that stream in order to achieve these 2 additional lots here. So the applicant did provide some renderings. So this is the Gardner home, Gardner house. And let me just, before we go to the pretty pictures, just real quick, just go back to that lot. So that lot is lot 1 here. Again, the dark area represents the existing footprint of the home. They are proposing a garage addition to the home in this location, so on the east side of the home. And then they are proposing a pool on the west side of the home. And let's go back to the renderings. So you can see this is looking at the house from Cumming Street. And so this is that pool area here on the side. They do have a lattice brick wall here to help screen that. This is a view on the west side of the house. So this is that pool area here. So again, the existing home. And then this is that garage addition that I mentioned on the east side. And this is kind of a bird's eye view of the property. So this would be from Cricket Lane looking down at the property. This is Cumming Street here, and this is Cricket Lane or Haynes Bridge here. That second lot down, so the next lot south of the Gardner house, lot number 2. This is the home that is proposed on that lot. We have sent these renderings to our downtown consultant. Our downtown consultant has expertise in historic architecture. Of course, we have architectural styles that are approved in the downtown. And so they have to utilize one of those architectural styles or multiple architectural styles that have been approved. So the downtown consultant reviewed the Gardner House and indicated that generally the additions were compliant with the architectural and style of that house. The downtown consultant was generally okay with this particular home on Lot 2. This is the home that's proposed on Lot 3, so the furthest south. So this is this lot right here. And this is the home that is proposed on that lot. This architecture, the downtown consultant did not prefer. And so he did provide some comments. He didn't like, he said that the window detailing, the difference in the different types of window detailing is not appropriate for this, and it definitely has a very modern line to the roof line of the structure. And so we have provided those comments to the applicant, and I believe the applicant is updating the renderings for the third lot. And this item is scheduled to go before City Council. Since it is a variance only, it just goes directly to City Council. It is scheduled for September 6th. And that is all I have on that application. Before I move on to the other application, if you have any questions or comments for me, I'm happy to take those.
What about the ingress and egress for those two additional houses?
Great question. So they are showing a new driveway for, well, let's just start at Lot 1. So Lot 1, the Gardner House, has an existing driveway here real close to the intersection. That will be removed. And they will have one driveway off of Cumming Street here, so on the furthest east side of that lot, off of Cumming Street. This is Lot 2. Lot 2 will have access from Cricket Lane or Haynesbridge Road Extension, and that is on the north side of the property. And the garage is at the rear of this particular property. And then on Lot 3, the driveway is on the south side of that home, so the furthest southern end of this property, and that is a side-loaded garage on that particular structure.
Okay, I know there's some concern, that it's not really what we do, but there's some concern about entering and exiting Highway 9 and, you know, the major roads that they're going to, like on Cumming Street. There's a lot of traffic on that.
Sure, sure.
So the other question I had is the historic preservation designation. Does that, because that's the original property, does that include the second and third house?
No, so it would, so if this is approved, staff will recommend conditions that will limit the use of the structure, so it will be limited to a residence. But it will also require that this home be designated by the Historic Preservation Commission and City Council. And it will also require that the Historic Preservation Commission review and approve their certificate of appropriateness. So all these additions to this home that I just showed to you, they'll need to get approval from this board in order to complete those. Would you mind, I lost my train of thought for a second. Would you mind just repeating your question real quick? Because I think
Right.
I went a little off
Because the
track.
whole property was a historic preservation site.
Yes.
Does that include the new, because it's on the same property, does that include the new houses?
Yeah, so thank you for reminding me the question. So if this is approved and it comes in for designation, the property and structure that will be designated will be this. It will only be this. It
Okay.
will not be the remainder of the property. These are not historic structures. They'll be built in an approved historic architectural style, but they're not historic structures, so they will not be designated. It will only be this structure and this property.
Okay, one more question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You mentioned that this will be a residence, the former Gardner
All
House.
three will be used, are proposed to be
So
used
they're not
for
gonna use-
residential.
The Gardner House for an office or a restaurant or something like that?
They have not requested that, no. Nope.
And if they did, would that go before us or city council?
So once the property is designated, the Historic Preservation Incentive Ordinance has incentives in it that would allow for someone to utilize a percentage of the space of this home for non-residential activities. So they could decide, this has to be a home as its primary use. It has to remain that way. The applicant is not asking to be able to use it for just all office.
Okay.
So it will be residence, but they could use a portion, and I believe it's up to 40% of the home can be used for non-residential use, such as like a professional office.
Okay.
So if an attorney, for example, or an insurance salesman buys the property and they wanted to have their insurance office or something like that in it, they could use up to 40% of the space for a business use. The applicant has given no indication that they intend to utilize that incentive, but it is an incentive that's offered in the ordinance.
Yeah.
Yep. They've said only that they plan to use it as a residence.
The other thing that concerns me, and I'm sorry for monopolizing this, the fencing around the swimming pool. I know that we've had someone who's thinking about applying because they want to put a swimming pool behind a historic house.
Yes.
And the gist, although I haven't seen it addressed in the ordinance, is that you want to not interfere with the front view of the house. So if you've got this brick wall and a swimming pool that's on the side of the house, it's like we're allowing one person one thing, but the other one, they can't put it on the side, they have to put it behind.
So the swimming pool is allowed in a side or rear yard by right. So this would be considered their side yard at this location, even though they have two road frontages on this particular lot. The home is oriented to Cumming Street, so this does represent a side yard, so they would be compliant with code. But what I will say is you are correct. There's another application out there, I believe it's the Lewis Manning House, where they were proposing to put a pool in the kind of side rear yard. And they do have some walls and fencing, decorative wall and fencing around that particular property. And we conditioned that when they bring that structure in for review of the certificate of appropriateness before this board, that you are also going to be looking at the fencing and wall to make sure that that is consistent with the architecture of the historic structure. The same thing will apply here. Okay. So we will want you to look at what this wall looks like. We want to make sure that this wall is appropriate given the architecture of the structure.
Michael, thank you very
Sure.
much.
Sure.
Any other comments?
Well, I know this isn't our thing, but I don't really care for those other two houses next to this house.
I will certainly, and I'm going to jot down any of the comments that are made here.
The third one.
Yes, and again, the downtown consultant and staff also had issues with that third house as well, and we've let the applicant know that it doesn't meet the downtown code, and they're making changes to that. So if we get any new information, I will ask Alex to send that information out to you so that you have that.
Good job. Shaq, how about you?
I love the way Gardner House additions are drawn. That carriage house with the barn doors and the siding. Oh, I'm sorry. I just think the Gardner addition of the carriage house, I think it looks very nice with the gables there, matching gables. I think it looks really nice.
Great. Connie?
Took a while to get here, but
Yeah.
a whole lot of work on your part and I guess our lawyer. But it's nice when it comes out that we win.
Yeah, and we'll see. Council still has to consider this item. Staff hasn't drafted a staff report. I will tell you, piping that stream is a pretty significant deal. We do understand that there are some hardships on the property that may warrant some variance requests. The setback reductions, those types of variances, I think those are things that we can definitely support because this is part of the downtown, and we are encouraging structures to bring them up closer to the road, closer up to the sidewalk. But the piping of the stream is a pretty significant thing, so I just don't know exactly where that will go. But if this is approved, it will be before this board at some point, so we just wanted to make sure that you were aware of it and hear any concerns or comments that you had.
So the applicant is taking advantage of the historic designation to request some of these exceptions?
Certainly, yes. Their application indicates, the cost of saving that historic structure and adding on to it so that they can sell it to someone that will meet someone's expectation for the size of a home in the downtown. They have indicated that they need those 2 additional lots in order to save the home, restore it, and then a developer obviously has to make some money or they wouldn't be doing it. So yes, they have indicated that it is related to saving that home, that they need those 2 additional lots.
And is it a sewer easement that runs kind of parallel to that stream?
Yeah, you are correct, Commissioner. There is a sewer easement that I believe runs alongside the existing stream.
Between 2 and 3 there? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've had variances on this particular stream, both to the east and to the west. Those variance requests have only been to reduce the stream buffers up to 50%. So there's a total of 150-foot buffers on each side of this particular stream because it's a perennial stream. It has water in it all throughout the year. So we have had variances that have been approved to reduce them from 150 down to 75. This one would completely eliminate the buffers and the stream would be piped underground. But it would just be for this section. Of course, the stream is already piped under the street, and then it has 75-foot buffers on the west side of the street, and then it also has 75-foot reduced buffers on the church's property, the First United Methodist Church property.
So there's a big incentive to reduce it to that much and keep the historic property back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty significant move in order to, finance the restoration of that home. And, piping streams, there's potential to impact the ecological value of the stream. And, the stream and the buffers are there. The buffers are there for the purpose of providing area for runoff, stormwater runoff, to penetrate the ground so that you're filtering out the bad stuff before it actually reaches the stream. So there is a reason why we have those buffers there. So it's definitely something we're going to have to look at and see if we can support that variance request. Okay. We certainly support saving the historic structure, but we have to find a balance.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of what the square footage of the 3 homes might be?
I don't think they gave us the exact square footage. Let me just verify here.
Yeah.
They haven't given us the exact square footage. I can tell you that the They are going to be limited by the footprint that they can put on these lots. This is an R15 zoned lot, so the building footprint cannot cover more than 25% of the total lot. And then all impervious areas, so the footprint of the home, plus any driveways, pools, anything that doesn't allow water to penetrate the ground, they are restricted to no more than a 50% coverage of that lot. So, for example, this lot number 2 that's got the really large footprint on it, that may not comply with that. So once this is reviewed, if this is approved, our staff will review this to verify that they're not exceeding the max 25% building footprint or max 50% impervious area on the lot.
Great.
All right. I do have one other item to show you. All right, so we will start with the site plan on this. So this is 116 and 126 North Main Street. Just to orient you, we're on North Main Street, and this is Cumming Street right here. So you may or may not be familiar, but of course Cumming Street dead ends at this intersection currently. The city's downtown master plan envisioned punching Cumming Street through all the way over to Canton Street. We're trying to, with all the additional density that has been being added in the downtown, you want to have multiple connections so that vehicle traffic can disperse. So that's the intent for that. Now, that future connection wasn't approved with this development, so we're not sure if that will occur. But just to kind of orient you to where we're at, you may be familiar with and I apologize, I forgot to grab the name of this particular historic structure, but I know that most people call it the Violin Shop.
Yes.
So the Violin Shop is located at 116 North Main Street. And so this development does propose to save and preserve the Violin Shop, which sits on this site plan, sits right here. So with this development, this is a mixed use proposed, or well, not proposed, it was approved by City Council on May 23rd of this year. It proposes 2 3-story buildings that are built over top of a 1-level parking deck. And then, of course, the Violin Shop remains in this location here, does not move. The 2 buildings, 3-story buildings, are right here. Those buildings were approved for a mix of retail, office, and then for-sale condominium units on the top. There are a total of 4 for-sale condominium units, 2 on the top of each building. And I do have some renderings to show you what that looks like. Now, this applicant did not, like the other applicant, did not provide details showing actual changes to the Violin Shop. That is not a requirement of them during this process. The other applicant didn't need to submit that information either, but he took the extra step to provide that information. So we don't have any kind of details or proposed details on any exterior changes to the Violin Shop, but that is something that this board would have to approve. This is just their landscape plan. And then this is just, these are some aerial views of the site. So on this particular site, we're looking at a bird's eye view from North Main Street facing west. So Cumming Street would be right here. This is North Main Street with Cumming Street dead ending at this location. This is the Violin Shop right here. And then these are the 2 3-story buildings beside it on the west side of it. And we do have, I do have a rendering that shows these 2 buildings with their skin on them, with the exterior material, so you can see what that looks like.
So Cumming Street would run sort of parallel to Church Street?
It's intended to, yes. Yes, so this is Cumming Street right here. And the intent of the downtown master plan that it punches all the way through these properties, all the way through the townhome community west of Main that is right behind it, and that it have access to Canton Street. Now, this particular development, that connection was not ultimately made. And the reason why is because the residents in the townhome community west of Main did not want that connection. So their street is, I think it was formerly called Trailer Street and renamed to Lily Garden. And Lily Garden's pretty narrow right away, and the residents within west of Main were really concerned about tying Cumming Street into their street. So the connection was not made with this application, but there is ability for the city to get that connection should they desire to make that connection in the future. There is a way to do it.
Yeah, thanks.
So these are just going back to some of the aerials. This is, again, on North Main Street, looking to the west. So here you can see that connection is not made. So this is Cumming Street, or this is actually their driveway leading to their parking deck. So their parking deck is accessed separately. So the top of the parking deck is accessed here. And then the bottom of their parking deck is accessed at the back of the property. This is where Cumming Street was supposed to come through. However, these are the residents in the townhome community that objected to that connection. And so you do not see that connection here. And then this is just showing that the topography drops down from North Main Street, which is here, as you come into the West of Main townhome development, which is here. And then this elevation actually shows you what the skin of those two new buildings will look like. The reason why I didn't just bring this picture is this was an earlier rendering that was provided by this applicant. At the time that they provided, these were the ones that were reduced to 3 stories. They originally had renderings that showed two 4-story buildings, and we did not support the 4-story height. So they did bring it down to 3 stories. I will tell you the reason the other elevations where they didn't have the details on the exterior of the building, that is because we sent these renderings to the downtown consultant, and he did have some concerns with some aspects of these buildings. And so the applicant said, you know, we intend to go forward with that mercantile mill type look to these buildings. So they want to do the brick with the windows that have the mullion detail on the windows, like the reuse of the old warehouse buildings. That's what they were going for. But some of the details here, the downtown consultant didn't like. So they did modify these renderings, and they have to go back for approval from the downtown consultant as well as design review board. Anything that's done to this structure, though, first of all, will come to this board and city council for designation. So that is the condition that was imposed on this property. So they have to designate this structure. That involves Historic Preservation Commission as well as city council. And then any exterior changes to this structure have to be approved by the Historic Preservation Commission through the Certificate of Appropriateness. And just to give you guys an update, Alex and I have been working on that Certificate of Appropriateness application because we've never had a request yet. But we do know that there are some possible requests that are coming out there. The Lewis Manning House. We do know that one will probably be the first one that comes forward to you. We've not received an application yet, but we know that there is activity out there. There's a young couple that has purchased that, and they're going to make it their primary residence. That is all that I have. Here's just one more rendering, again, showing those 2 buildings. Again, these details have not been approved by our downtown consultant. if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Does the applicant, what are they going to do with that structure, with the violin house? Are they going to, is it going to be a restaurant or?
I'm glad that you asked because I forgot to mention that. So they were approved to utilize the violin shop for an office or a restaurant.
Can you tell me what those things are on the top of the buildings?
Are you referring to these?
Well, you can see them, yeah, the one
Or
you
in the
had
center?
before. The one you had before.
Here, let me go back.
Yeah.
Okay, see the people going in and out of that
Yes.
structure?
So
What-
this area, so they want to utilize the rooftops of these buildings. And we do have their conditions on this property that allow them to utilize rooftop activities on the building that's closest to North Main Street. But this building in the back that is closer to the adjacent townhome development, this building is limited to only that for sale condominium. It's only going to be for residential use only. So they couldn't do a restaurant with like a rooftop bar up here. The other thing to note is these areas that they show that appear to be enclosed spaces cannot be enclosed, and the applicant knows that. So if these areas are enclosed, they represent an additional story on the building. And the building as proposed are currently already 3 stories, so that would represent a 4-story, and it would not be approved by staff. They can put a roof structure over here, but they have to leave, there cannot be any walls to it.
Did you mention how many condos are in the smaller building?
So they were proposing a total of 4 for the entire property. And it's my recollection that there were 2 in this building and 2 in this building. I may have that incorrect, Commissioner Mashburn. They may have all 4 in the back building. But I thought that they had them split between the 2 buildings on the highest levels of the buildings.
Oh, because the lower level is going to be offices?
So the lower level of the building that is closest to North Main Street will have restaurant and retail uses with office above. The building in the back, the first and possibly the second story, I don't remember 100% on the second story, but the first and maybe the second story will be office. So they will not put any retail or restaurant uses back in the rear building. They want those up front on the street.
I'm concerned about the parking. Is the parking that you were referring to, is that there or it's proposed?
It's there.
The-
Underground, so-
The parking with this development is proposed with their site plan. Let me just go back to that site plan real quick. And then there's a rendering here too that so again, here are the 2 buildings that are shown. This other area, including underneath those buildings, represents the parking deck. So the 2 3-story buildings are set on top of the 1-level parking deck. So there's parking underneath, and then there's parking on top of the parking deck. And let me show you this rendering. This might help show it a little bit better. So you have a smaller parking area on top of the parking deck that is accessed from this point closest to North Main Street. So right behind the violin shop. And then their larger portion of parking is accessed further down and underneath this top level of parking.
And there are no buildings that are affected that are historic in all that area?
No, so the only building that is historic in this area is the violin shop.
Okay.
And they're saving that.
Is that the gray brick home? Violin shop?
Yes. Yeah, though I can't remember the,
Otis Wood.
it's like a gray brick look, and I don't remember the style right offhand. I only brought the conditions of zoning that were imposed, and I don't think,
it has a nice steep gable, brick gable in the front.
Yeah.
That is really nice.
Yeah.
It's, if you'll refresh me, it's one of the two Roberts properties, right? And then the one next
Correct.
door,
Yeah,
we
Yeah.
decided was not
yeah,
old enough or,
right.
Yeah, that was 126 North Main Street. It was on the contributing historic list at one point.
yeah.
We looked at that and that one was removed a couple years back, I think it was removed off the list. There was a question of whether it was truly 75 years old or not, and there was a dispute whether or not it was. But we also looked at the other criteria, and we didn't think that it represented a great example of architecture. And I believe the other criteria had to do with if it came from a person of significance or a family of significance. While it did, I think it not discounting the Roberts family or any, I'm not suggesting that, but it just didn't meet the criteria, so that's why it was removed.
Do you remember how old the Roberts house is?
Well, we thought it was, let's see, it was built in 1950.
Okay.
We thought 40. I went back and looked later on at the urban design work, the consultants, and I believe it shows 1940. But anyway,
Okay, thank you.
so it wasn't old enough.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, items from the board members. Are there any questions?
Let me misstated that. The house was, we thought the house was built in 1940.
Uh-huh,
It was built in 1950.
50, yeah, okay.
So that's why the
Okay.
math makes a little more sense there.
I have a couple of questions for the staff, just updates. Can you tell us the status on the Women's Club?
As it relates to,
The people that bought it who said they were going to restore it, are they doing that? And,
I haven't received any updates on that, and the city has not received any applications. That property is on the historic list, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, so if there were any modifications to it, that would have to come to the Historic Preservation
well,
Commission.
what if they just like ran out of money and they couldn't finish the restoration? That, I would think that would be a concern of us eventually. So I'm curious if, are they still working on it? Is it abandoned or?
I'm not sure, I don't have any information on it, but I can certainly check into it for you,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Do you know anything, Connie?
No,
Or Shaq? Does anybody know?
if they run out of money, somebody will snatch it up and finish it, but I don't know. That just, I guess that could happen, but probably not likely.
Okay. Do we have any news on Farmhouse?
No updates on Farmhouse. I know that so that was funded through the Parks Bond Initiative. We can certainly get with Director Rogers from Parks and Rec and get an update for him, and we'll have that available to send out to the board.
That would be great.
Sure.
We have a public hearing, if anyone wants to speak. No? I found out something this morning that I just wanted to bring up. The Hembry House in Roswell is for sale, and it's for $125,000, and you're going to need to put money into it to fix it up as a livable place, but I just thought I would pass that on to you. It was originally given to the city of Roswell, and apparently they want to sell it, so.
Michael, if I may, the situation with the, I guess the City of Alpharetta Courthouse that's in the middle of Crabapple. I know it's early, but is there any news on that? Public hearings coming up, or?
I haven't heard anything as
Okay.
it relates to the city's plan for the courthouse.
Okay.
Microphone on. I haven't heard anything as it relates to the courthouse, what the plans are. We can certainly check with administration and get you an update there.
That's all right.
You know that the adjacent property to the west has a public hearing request on it. That's the Crabapple Family Dentistry property. So there's a hotel that is proposed, a boutique hotel that's proposed on that property. We had the community zoning information meeting was held for that the last 2 Wednesdays. 2 Wednesdays ago, we were interrupted. Our Zoom meeting was interrupted, so we had to reschedule that for last night, and we held that here in the council chambers. Had probably about 40, 50 people here, residents from Alpharetta and Milton. Didn't sound, based on the comments we're receiving on that one, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of support in the general public for it. So we'll just have to see what happens with that.
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Do they have a rule about how many stories buildings in that area can be?
Sure. So with that request, the height of a building is going to be related to the zoning district. So the zoning will dictate the height of the building in most cases, unless there's been some kind of variance or something that allows a greater height that they've gone through. They're asking for, I believe, C1 zoning, which is neighborhood commercial zoning. That zoning district has a height limitation of 35 feet. So typically, it's going to be a max three-story building in that zoning. They are asking for, I believe the hotel is proposed at 3 stories, but it does have roof activities, which represent a 4th story.
Yeah.
And that building, I believe, is shown at 52 feet. So they are asking for a height variance with their request to increase the height of the building.
Okay, Joy, no? Shaq, do you have anything to contribute?
Anything else?
Connie?
I would say to you, welcome back. We're glad you're still with us as chair.
Thank you,
Had
thank
a tough
you.
year.
It has.
Anyway,
But I appreciate everybody. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not a chairman of anything. It's everybody that's on here that contributes. And I appreciate everybody, including Alex. So if no one else wants to mention anything, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Do we know when the next meeting is?
We don't right now, but if there's anything you guys want to bring in the future, just, you know how to contact me.
Okay. All right.
We haven't received any applications for
Okay.
Certainly, as soon as we receive them, we'll let you know. Like I mentioned earlier, we are expecting that the Lewis Manning House will come in here soon. So we're just waiting on that.
Okay. Okay. Do we have new badges?
Badges?
Mm-hmm.
I got you one and Shaq.
Shaq.
Are you in need of one, Connie?
I think I have one. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And you've got one? Yes, I did. Somewhere in the move, I lost it.
Okay, I can give you yours, and Shaq will give you yours as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
Of course.
Oh, Shaq told me that you gave him a binder that said historic preservation on it. And I guess because we were in the very beginning, we didn't get one of those. Is there any way we could?
Yeah, you guys want like the handbook that I put in there? about the
Sure.
ordinance and all that. It's just helpful information.
Yeah,
I can make them for you guys.
yeah, that would be great.
I bragged on you.
Oh, well, thank you. I wanted him to have, plenty of information. I can get one for all of you to have. Yeah,
It's a good place to put the papers and, stuff you collect.
exactly. Yep. I'll be more than happy to do that.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. Okay, this meeting is adjourned.